Welcome to the Teams Coaching Communities of Practice. We're kicking start our very first TCCOP of the session with an engaging topic, coaching for team alignment and vision. These sessions are taken every fourth Wednesday of the month and are designed to unlock your team's full potential by aligning, sharing vision, clear goals, and purpose. By sharing insights and having meaningful conversations, we aim to strengthen team coaching practices and drive positive change. Thank you for being here with us. Let's have an amazing session. I'm delighted to welcome our speakers for today, Himani Jaiswal and Naveen K, for today's TCCOP session. With over 20 years of experience, Himani is an applied neuroscience life and leadership coach and a mentor coach at the International Coaching Federation. Her work focuses on enhancing emotional intelligence and using brain-based coaching methods to help leaders build health work cultures and thriving businesses. She partners with clients to unlock their potential, drive transformation, and support lasting personal and professional growth. Naveen KS, on the other hand, is an experienced organizational coach dedicated to helping leaders and teams unlock their potential for high performance and sustainable growth. Specializing in leadership development, agile transformation, team effectiveness, and change management, Naveen partners with clients to drive impactful business and people transformations. He organizes two major virtual conferences, Leaders Coaching Asia 2025, focused on innovative leadership and coaching practices in Asia, and PeopleOps Pulse 2025, exploring the evolving workplace for HR and business leaders. Please join me in welcoming both of them. Feel free to put in your questions in the Q&A box or in the chat box, and it will be addressed at the end of the session. Do remember these sessions are being recorded and a replay will be available for future reference as well. Do stay tuned to the end as we have a feedback poll. Over to you, Himani and Naveen.
Thank you so much, Anjali. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali.
So, hi, everyone. As the greetings go, whichever part of the world you are in, we wish you accordingly. So, I'm in India, New Delhi. So it's around 10:40 p.m. here. So yes, it's a nice evening out here. Talking about nice brings me to the mind of young children. And why am I sharing that right now? Is that a story comes to mind when I think of this topic that we have today, which is about, it is about team alignment. And I read it only a few days back, and while preparing for this session, I, remembered it. So, which is one of the companies that comes to mind when you think of children's toys. Would anybody like to share that in the chat? Children's toys. Any guesses, anything that comes to you? So it's a world-renowned company, and all children, I think, somewhere have played with it some time or the other. Okay, this one I will give you. This is Lego, right? And we all know what Lego is famous for building their building blocks, which all of us, as I said, would have played with sometime. We had, of course, a different version, some version of it when I was like really young. I don't think I owned a Lego, but in any case, Gen Zs definitely would have, and Gen Y also probably somewhere. Anyway, the story goes as follows, that somewhere along 2000, Lego decided that, their logo read something like building creativity in children so that they can build tomorrow, the creativity for tomorrow's children, tomorrow's future. And somewhere, some person in the team, probably a senior member only, they decided that, look, we've done enough of these building blocks and all these things. Let's just, kind of spread our wings and make more things. So they started getting into movie products, they started making CDs, they started doing a whole lot of other stuff. And you'd be surprised that instead of growing in their profits, they soon had a place where they were almost, facing a place where they were thinking they might just have to shut down, and which was really, really surprising. And so they decided that then a new CEO joined them. I'm forgetting his name, but that was around 2000, something 2005 or something. And he came in and he said, all right, so there's something that is majorly wrong out here. Why? So that's why we're not making profits. So everybody asked them why. Now, I'm not going to reveal why the answer to that why right now. We will discover it as we go along through the session, and probably one of you can share and we can have a discussion around that as to what whys came out, because that's exactly what the session is about today. Right? So it is, remember the story is that Lego had whatever it does. It started expanding its portfolio and its products, but it failed. The new CEO came and he said, I know why this company is not doing well. And he gave his reasons. And soon after that, for sure, when they did the things in the way he suggested, the company came back to earning profits. And the rest is history. Lego is doing even pretty well today. So what advice did he give and what changes did they make? We're going to probably discover in this session. And I'm sure with the help of all of us, we're going to find out. Right. So let's get ahead with the agenda for the day, with Anjali is sharing this next slide. The one after this, Anjali.
So while Anjali moves to the next slide, thank you for bringing that story, Himani. I know Lego has been, like, I used to play a lot. And I definitely gave to my child also, it definitely develops analytical skills. And we know Lego is very huge in terms of coming up with a lot of toys, especially around creativity, build analytic skills in the children. But I think I see that Anjali has already turned, so over to you back. But before that, let me take a 15-second intro. Himani is based out of India, but I'm based out of here, Hartford in Connecticut. And we do these sessions every fourth Wednesday to share our experiences on leading a team and coaching a team, basically. So thank you for joining everyone from wherever you are.
Yeah, done. So we have a little window with us. We don't have much time, but it's actually a beautiful precursor to, we do detailed programs and teams and team coaching. So we just thought that, people in organizations, teams are the new currency for today. We know that without teams, nothing is going to really work in this world, especially with the new structure that we are now following with hybrid working, with remote working, with teams, as Naveen just shared, where he's sitting in Connecticut and I'm sitting in India, and we have Anjali also sitting some part of the world, and so many other people in the support, and all you participants, lovely ones, wherever we don't even know. But does that really matter right now? What matters is that we've come together and we are talking about something that is close to our hearts and which really matters. To prove that point, that this is important, that we need to discuss that how to really work together in spite of the fact that we may not be sitting in front of each other. And one of the best ways for doing that is, since coaching is something that we passionately feel strong about, I'm going to talk a lot about that once we, really go on with the session. But along with coaching, there's a lot more that we'll talk about also in lines of leadership, a lot more in terms of team management, team alignment, of course, because I think everything goes hand in hand. So coaching is such a tool or a resource that it's not just about using that tool for that, okay, I'm asking you questions and you're giving me answers, which I think a lot of people begin to feel coaching is. So we'll soon discover, of course, in a small capsule way today, that coaching incorporates a lot of things in when we talk about teams, organizations. So we quickly going through the agenda. Of course, we'll talk about why alignment matters in teams, because our topic is that. Then there's a small team alignment coaching framework. It's very easy to remember, so that's why we just, incorporated that. A few case studies to, illustrate our point, some discussion and application as to how you could be able to, as team leaders, as team members, as managers, as people who are likely to be going back to your teams and wanting to align them in ways that you would want best, be able to ask these coaching questions, or questions, let's not even call them coaching questions, or these reflections to your team members, so that you can really align and so that you can really get the best out of what you're doing. And yeah, the key takeaway is probably a part of the fourth one, where you are looking at these questions as your resource tool for today. Like when you can really go back with this concrete thing that, yes, I know what to probably start my Monday discussion, or Tuesday, or whatever day you have your weekly meets, and in a way which is probably not as alarming as, let me come to you and give you some feedback. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Firstly, a little bit about before that, Anjali. Yeah. So I won't be putting in a lot of time with this, because we do know what alignment means. I mean, from the simple word alignment, we know that alignment would mean that, okay, I am in sync. It just means that, okay, everybody is in sync with what is happening. We are right now talking about teams, but I think the same thing applies to whether we're talking about a whole department, whether we're talking about an organization, whether we're talking about an industry. The core concept remains the same, but we'll stick to because we're talking about teams, the smallest unit. So if we call a team aligned, if the team members are in sync with, say, the vision, the goals, the roles, and the aspects of a team. If everybody knows that, okay, this is my role, this is my collaborative effort, this is my vision, I know the vision of the team, I know the purpose why this team was there, then we call the team to be in sync, and that's probably what alignment is for us. So very quickly, this is that alignment. What would it ensure? It would ensure that one, we are not divergent in our vision, we are convergent in our vision, which means that we have a shared vision. One of the core things we learn about teams, which is so beautiful and which makes it different from, say, a group or anything else, is that a team will always have a shared vision. We are not rallying around different things, so we are operating under that shared vision. And obviously with that, you would have started from consistent values, which does not mean that I think like you or I'm a clone. Like Anjali and I cannot obviously think the same about everything. But for the purpose of the vision, we have rallied together and we are saying that these are our values for this team, for this project. This is how we will operate. And of course, for that, what do we need for doing all that? We need clear communication. And obviously, the reverse of that is true, that if we don't have all that, we are likely to have a very, very confused team, and conflicts are likely to be very much there. And as a result of that, the productivity will obviously suffer. So these are the basics of, when we talk about team alignment and misalignment. What we are going to get into is a framework by which we can really look at how we can improve this. And Naveen, please, whenever you do want to say something, just jump in, because I will
Yeah,
be
I
able
just
to.
want to chime in here.
Sure.
So thanks for that clear definition, Himani. I also like to call out to audiences who have joined with an agile background. In agile teams, we have something called as a session where we define team norms. So team norms are different than team alignment. Team
Okay.
alignment definitely brings all the team members for a shared goal. But in team norms, we do with the Scrum teams or a Kanban teams or a Flow teams to ensure that there are guidelines defined for alignment, basically. So that is post team alignment session. And this team alignment is different than the team norms. The second important distinction is in team norms, we create a culture of collaboration. But in team alignment, we define the rules to create the culture. So there is a distinction. I just want to bring it up. People who are joining from the agile background, I just thought I'll chime in here. But thank you.
That's very interesting, actually. Yes. Yeah. So we can go to the framework. So what we are going to do is a general framework, which is when we talk about teams in general. So you may like to align it with the people who are from Agile may like to align it with your own, the structure that you've understood, and I'm sure you'll be able to find a similarity, as well as, of course, as Naveen pointed out, that there would be a distinction also, but the general gist would remain for you to understand. Now, in this framework, it's actually, as I said, it's a very simple framework, and that's why probably very doable in any organization, big or small. The first, as is that, and when we do this, of course, we are simplifying it here, because after doing this alignment session, what we call, as Naveen shared, that we form the norms. What we call is that probably very similar, is we form a team charter, and we form the team manifesto, and so forth. Now, all that is actually when we do team coaching and when we do all our sessions, we really talk about that in detail as to how that is made, how a shared vision is made, how do we even come to that? Because imagine, say, 10 people sitting in a room, and to get them to be able to create a shared vision out of the individual values a lot of people have, and sometimes we have very clear ideas about what we feel strongly about, it does take a little bit of time. But right now we are narrowing it down to say that, okay, if this is your framework, then the first thing you'd look at is that why do we even have this team? What are we even doing here? Like, so defining the why of the team is your purpose, which you could put it in different ways. Some people call it a broader mission, then a vision. Of course, they have their differences, but we are not going there right now. So let's just call it a broader word, which is purpose. That is the why of the team. And if you've seen Simon Sinek's work, then he talks a lot about the why, the golden triangle, where he says that always start with the why. Something that we probably would have seen in YouTube and his TED Talks as well. And then after that, you say, okay, why have we formed this team? Then you set out these measurable, clear goals, which are your objectives. That, okay, what are we really doing out here? We have a why. This is the purpose. This is a broader vision. Now, what is it that, how do we go about doing this? For instance, if Walt Disney is like saying that they are like kind of wanting to make people happy, because that's their mission statement, that's their vision statement. How do they do it? They do it by making all these amusement parks and a whole lot of movies. So then they break it down and say, okay, this will be the way we will do it, right? So they will have the goal that these are our objectives towards this why. But of course, that's an organization. In a team, it will become more narrower. That I'm a marketing team. The why is that I'm out to market my product. The roles and the objectives are these as to how I will go about doing it. In that, then of course, each one will have a role. In that marketing department, there will be somebody who will look after maybe the digital aspect of it, somebody who will do something, etc., etc. So we have our KRAs, we have our responsibilities, we have our own places according to our specialization, or whatever way we would have our key responsibility areas, which are our responsibilities. And finally, a very important piece, which is that when we spew all this together, which is your collaboration, which even Naveen touched upon, which is, of course, when if you don't tie it with this, then even all this standing alone will probably not do much. But then all of them strewn together make what we call this little framework that we are talking about. How it's a coaching framework, I'll come to a little later. So collaboration is nothing but fostering teamwork and communication. It is, of course, can be done through various ways. Coaching is one of the tools we have tried to utilize into saying that, okay, how team alignment can happen. We are not saying that there are other ways are not there. There are 10 millions of other ways as to how you can make a team more aligned. But because we are focusing on this aspect, we'll probably spend a little more time today talking about that. So,
yeah, for collaboration, I just want to say people may think that if there is a team, then definitely there should be a collaboration. But for collaboration, don't take it like that just lightly, because collaboration is one of the key component in a team. So let me ask you one question. Have you seen any sports teams where there are 25 people competing against another 25 people? You will never see such big teams. The team size also drives how collaborative you would be. For the sports teams, you will never see any teams more than 15 or 20 people team basically. Because the larger the size of a team, the difficult the collaboration would be. So don't take it as very simple, because all these 20 individuals, 50 individuals, when come together for a simple cause, that's a common shared purpose or a goal, it's very difficult to work together, because everybody is individual, everyone is unique, everyone brings a different skill set, but work together as a fist, right? It's very difficult. That's where the collaborations comes into a picture. And just think about it, no sports teams are more than 15 to 16 people. You will never ever find that.
In fact, just to add to that, research has showed, and a lot of organizational research has gone into this, that many a times beyond the magic number of, say, 7 or 8, even in fact lesser than that, but 7 is the magic number, we don't form teams. We may look at them as sub-teams, or you may have a larger, archaic team where, okay, you've got a department. But when we talk about really project management, the team who's really working together, we don't usually have more than 7, or actually the 5 is a beautiful number. But then if we do really need to stretch, we don't look at more than 7. So there is obviously a lot of research which has gone into it to be able to come out with that. So it's got a point that collaboration, that it's so dynamic that beyond that, then you'll be landing yourself in a lot of trouble if you really, hit more than that.
True.
Sometimes people want to do more than that because they feel that more work can be taken out, a lot of responsibility can be delegated, etc., etc. But imagine again, I invite you to think of a room full of people, sitting down more than, say, about 10 people in a room trying to make decisions. As much as we have provisions now for decision making and as many coaches as you can hire, it would then become a difficult job to be able to do that unless we have AI robots sitting there and who've been programmed to think, similar. So
Yeah.
yes, we do have to work. We have to see that those numbers. So yeah. So
Just
this
to
is
add to that, Himani, sorry to interrupt. Just to add to
No,
that,
carry on.
in Agile PeopleOps framework as well as Scrum Alliance also suggests that Agile team should be 7 plus 2 or minus 2. Like 7 is the ideal number to have a team size. Minus 2 is like you can have 5 people, or 7 plus 2 is 9 people. So in between 5 to 9 people is the right size in terms of gaining the complete success from a team, basically.
Correct. Absolutely. Right. We can go to the next slide. So now that we've seen the framework, just let's look at some very basic examples. Like I'm sure you've kind of got the gist of what we are trying to say, but just to make it more clearer, like if you talk about purpose, what could be an example? Say we're looking at a product development team. So what are they aligning at? They're aligning on their why, like why are we there in this team, or what is this, why? So they're aligning on creating solutions that improve customer experience rather than just launching features. So they have a very clear why. Why do we have this team? This is the reason why we have it. It's broken down to the last this thing, that it's improving customer experience, and it's not just about launching features. Similarly, examples of goals for a sales team could be that they set this quarterly figure and they set a target and they define the steps to achieve it. So anybody in sales would know this pretty well, that okay, you get these numbers and you get your targets and you get your KRAs and etc. I'm very far away from it, but yes, this is something that a typical sales profile would know. Similarly, something of roles in a project team, there would be different roles. Your lead designers, developers, marketeers, all of them obviously have your own responsibilities, and you wouldn't want overlaps, you wouldn't want spillovers, you wouldn't want people coming and saying that, okay, this is not my job anyway. So very, very clear. And as we were talking about how important collaboration is, that an example could be that there is a cross-functional team which really holds these daily stand-ups, which is probably your meetings, to ensure alignment and problem solving in real time. Because it's a cross-functional team, they do need to really be aligned in terms of what is really happening. And we know how much problem comes if we are not, in really in sync with in terms of our communication. It could happen in as small a unit as a family. I mean, I'm telling somebody out here at home that I'm just going out. Now, that's a very simple thing. For how much time? When will I come back? Who am I going out with? I've not mentioned any of that. And probably we discussed yesterday that, okay, I'll get the groceries when I go out. My husband assumed that I'm going to get it. But today, when I went out, I actually didn't even think about the groceries because I was going out with my friends. So, there was the terminology going out was like absolutely undefined. So my collaboration is actually pretty poor today. Nevertheless, I will try better next time, learning from this framework itself, and we will do some coaching with each other. That's what he suggested me. In fact, before I started this session, he said, you should work on your, on your own framework. I said, indeed, I take your feedback and I will work on it. Right. So that was a little family example as well. So we can move to the
I'll
next
give
slide.
one more example actually. The
Sure.
collaboration can be two kinds of collaboration can happen. In a simple team environment, it could be a collaboration within the team. So we call as inter-team collaboration, right? Because there
Yeah.
may be a dependencies within other team member where you need to coordinate and collaborate to create some outcome. So those are like inter-team dependencies. And there can be another kind of a collaboration where it is external to the team. You need to go out of the team to ensure you get some input to make it as part of your team. So for other team, it becomes output, and for your team, it becomes input.
Good
In
input.
those cases, you should have interdependencies with other teams. Then you need to set up a collaboration session within the team as well as outside the team. So there are two different kind of a collaboration sessions Hemani is talking here basically. So just want
Absolutely.
to bring it a distinction
Absolutely.
between interdependent team and external team dependencies. Okay.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful actually, because it reminds me that when we do the team coaching course, we talk about Peter Hawkins' model where he talks about the relationship between the outside, the environment, and the stakeholders in terms of collaborating, and how that becomes the team's biggest collaborating source, because how they are able to map the stakeholders and see what they are wanting out of them, and that becomes their input, what is coming from outside. So because a team is never works in silo. So we can't have one team saying that, okay, I'm working, we are good with each other, all of us work very well, but they will not be able to operate if they are working in silo with the rest of the organization, or even for that matter, the rest of the the industry or the whole environment per se. Of course, that's a huge orbit that we're talking about, but
Yep.
yes, that is something that is systemic coaching is basically talks about that. That is the the whole genesis of that.
And people understand the pain points, Hemani. People who
Oh,
have
yes.
used the Agile PeopleOps framework, Scale Agile framework, Scrum of Scrum framework, they understand what I'm talking about. There is like a huge advantages when you do a cross collaboration as well as the pain points. So they understand if people have practiced one of these framework. But collaboration is very important in team environment. We can't discount that actually. I'm just emphasizing a lot on that.
So, okay, so let's do this little case study. We've already got one thing to, answer from right of the beginning, which I left as a little puzzle. Now here there's a case study. It's a success story, right? I've given all the four parts of the framework, defined that for you. That okay, the purpose, the company made a clear shift to cloud and AI driven solutions. Goals, specific growth targets for Azure and other services. Actually, I'm giving it away. But then roles, empowered leaders and redefined roles within teams. Collaboration broke down silos, encouraged cross-functional teamwork. So classic case where they use the framework very well. But here I want it's a very easy answer. Which organization is this that we had a success story when the team was realigned? It was going into a lot of problems, and then the new CEO came in. Okay, let's break that down also. He came in and he reorganized these, realigned the team, and this is what came out of it. Which organization is this, friends? This is like a toffee question.
You gave them 3 inputs, right? You told the leader
I know, it's like,
designation, CEO, you give the gender also, like he,
yeah.
there is some
And I've
information I
also
see on the slide.
right. So come on, guys. This should be like a no-brainer for you guys. And considering you are, as Naveen shared, you've been into so many of these trainings, and for that matter, you don't even need any trainings for this. This is like, so, and even if you look at the keywords out here, you will be able to, answer this. The chat is open for them, right? They will be able to type it on the screen. So don't tell me none of the 5 people out here who I see as
We'll give them
attending.
one more hint, Himani. We'll make it
Okay.
easier.
All right. Which
Most
is
of you are using the computers that belongs to the same company. Operating system, yep.
right. And if last one, if I give, then I'm very proud to say that the CEO is of Indian origin.
Oh, you give 5th one.
So now, come on. I mean, we are
Shy audience today, but it's too late actually, right?
It is. Yeah, it is. So, okay, this organization without any, from Apple, it's not Apple, but you're close, in the same industry. Let's put it in the same genre kind of thing. So, what is the closest competitor of Apple? So that would be your answer here. It would be, as Naveen said, of course, Apple is one of the laptops that you could be using also, and one of the operating systems that you could be using also. And now probably for the Gen Zs that are out here, they would ascribe more to that. So I can probably understand your reply. But we're talking about Microsoft, and we're talking about when Satya Nadella came in. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, Microsoft. So, and full marks for that answer. So yes, when Satya Nadella came in and he saw that there was quite a bit of mess happening. This was around, again, I think the 1990s, if I'm not mistaken, close to 2000 again. And he saw that a lot of things were happening which this needed attention. So the first thing he did was to again sit down with the drawing board and said, we need to realign these. Let's go back to the drawing board and start with our purpose. What is it that we're really doing out here? I mean, you have to go back to the why, as Simon Sinek said. Like we can't be just playing around and saying that, okay, we're running a company, but we don't know what we're doing out here. And then, of course, and we broke it down into goals that, okay, these are our specific areas. Like Lego, they started doing everything, everything under the sun, but it wasn't really working. And then the roles followed, and then, of course, the collaboration, because he realized that in their company, there were a lot of, being a big company, sometimes a lot of silos come in, a lot of things come in that I know I have the power and I can run this or team department very well. So I really don't need direction. Lots of things happen. Politics happen. A lot of group think happens. A lot of things in teams happen. So this is a classic case study of an organization that did well with its realignment. Now let's look at another case study in the next slide. Okay, I've used a very strong word. It's failure, but we can call failure feedback also. Unfortunately, in this company, that feedback did not come, so I use the word failure. Right? Usually, I'm very careful in using failure, being somebody with growth mindset as my top priority. But yes, what happened here was misalignment. It was a lack of a unified vision for a smartphone innovation. There was confusion between whether the old product should be still there in the market or new ones should be launched. There was role misclarity, leadership development teams not on the same page, not aligned, and there was a lot of poor communication and internal competition, each vying over the other for the clamoring for positions and things like that. Now, this may be a little dated for some of you guys, because if you're really as young as I believe you are, or wherever, but you definitely would have heard about this, because it is quoted a lot as a place where you learn from that, okay, what not to do when situations hit you, or when you need to do something in the market. So which company is this? And I have given pretty much some hints here also. We've talked about smartphones, we've talked about old products and innovating new ones. And so if you talk about smartphones, you can trace them back to, if you're in the US also, then it's not very far back, so long ago. So it's not like we're talking about the steam engine. BlackBerry, well, I'm not aware of BlackBerry. Maybe it has a similar story. So if you want to share that with us, more than welcome, maybe. So I'm not aware of that it had such issues. Maybe, yes, I'd be happy to understand this interesting story, but I was not referring to BlackBerry here. Another one, which is of the same era. You're in that era. So
Yep, you got the answer there. Nokia.
oh, wonderful. Absolutely. That's Nokia. Absolutely right. Nokia failed to understand that, what should we do? Should we keep this thing going on, that our old product only, or innovate at the time when others were like quickly ramping up and saying like, okay, let's do new things. They said, no, this phone will sell just the way it is. And soon enough, they got, pretty much um, out of the market. I mean, and of course, due to different reasons also, and not only because of their inability to see what the market was, but also, as I shared, because of a lot of other things. It's a beautiful case study, which you will find very easily available on the internet if you just do Nokia case study. And if anybody interested, that's where at least I found this. So you'll be able to find that. We do that in a little detail when we talk about, teams in our courses also, in our case studies. So these were just examples that how important, alignment is, and what very big companies have also either suffered or learned quick to adapt. It's not that problems don't happen with companies. It can happen with anybody. It can happen with any team, and it will happen because we all go through these stages. We, like Tuckman's model, we norming, then storming, then forming, and then performing. But the point is that, are you quick to understand that where are you and what do you need to do now? Are you proactive enough to understand where your team is? What do you need to do? And that's where sets the difference between a team which will succeed and a team which will probably misalign and go down and be probably called a failure. Otherwise, it's feedback. Usually it's feedback. I get that feedback as a feed forward and I move ahead. That, okay, this is going wrong. Let me collaborate and let me do something about it. Or let me clear my purpose, go back to the drawing board, and reinvent and say, what is it that we need? What are we here for? With that, I want you to answer which is the toy company that we were talking about, wherein, and I'm sure you can do this because now that you've answered these two questions correctly, you are going to be able to do this very well. This is a toy company and based out of US, as I understand. I'm not too sure, but I think it is. It's a US-based company. I've shared the name. It's Lego. Now you have to actually answer the other question, which is what we've already shared, most of it. That what do you think really happened, and what did the CEO, the new CEO person, tell them? That when he came and saw that they were doing a lot of things, they were making DVDs, they were doing. They were about to build umbrellas for children or something like that. A lot of things, like 4-5 things I read about. And it's then that he came in and said, hello, let's just come back to this framework and say what is happening out here. So what do you think happened? I mean, what would be the thing that the CEO would have gone to as the first thing? That which of these 4 things Which out of these 4 things would the CEO would have gone back to when he joined the company? Let's go to the brass tacks of it. You have a framework in front of you, you know, okay, what it could be. Like he's seeing things are happening. I'm sorry, I'm gender neutralizing. I do not know it was a he or she, but I'm just using a gender neutral, not even actually neutral, but sorry for that. What this CEO actually said that, okay, this is what we should go back to understanding. So, so right now, let's look at it because we can probably move forward and you can get a cue from there. The CEO went back to look at the purpose. You know, that, okay, if we are the creative providers for children to build a better future, right? The creativity of children's creativity is what Lego is, you know, known for in terms of its tagline, that we build a future for tomorrow in terms of building children's creativity. So not that a movie or a umbrella or another thing may or may not be able to do it, but he said we have to go back to the drawing board to see that what are we originally here for, and whether in that can we diversify and see what we are doing the best. And once we are doing that the best, then we can have a new vision or a new mission statement and then do those things. We can't put everything in the same basket and say, in this purpose, we'll make umbrellas also. In this purpose, we'll start tomorrow selling shoes also, which is what Lego had started to actually do for some time, because they felt they had a brand name. And you'll find many companies doing that today. I mean, some do well, like, and I'm sure you can think of many examples within your within US. I can think of many in India, that you have a brand name and you try to capitalize on that, and you say, okay, I start selling clarified butter today, tomorrow I'll start selling shoes also, and it's all under the same brand name. It can happen. It's not that you cannot do well, but you have to have an individual alignment plan for that. You can't operate under the same team and everything for that, because it's obviously different. So that's what Lego did, and then it probably improvised, but they still stuck on to doing what they did best, which is building blocks. Around that, they innovated, improvised, and of course, today they are still known for what they do best, right? Because they stuck to that, and that is what they like to do. So let's move on. Here is something where I just thought that maybe we can check with each other that, okay, I'm sure that each one of us has, experienced misalignment in our teams and what happened. If you'd like to share, and if you want to, be allowed to talk, I'm sure Anjali could help you with that. And if you would want to share in the chat, then we can do that. Meanwhile, in the interest of time, we will move ahead. Having said that, please do share your experience if you have any of misalignment, and you can think of that in your team. Being a team member, being a team leader, or being even an outside person who's managed a team for some time, do share in your experiences. I mean, they could even be at the level of 2-3 people in an environment. You may not even know that, okay, you call that a team or not, but your experiences are valid. Meanwhile, we'll move ahead and look at what is some of the coaching techniques, or easier still, what are some of the questions when, supposing you are sitting down and you are like, of course, as I shared in the beginning, this is a very abbreviated way of the way this is done. So I'm simplifying it because we just want to introduce us to the concept, and we need to carry away some basic tools so that we are ready to use them. And then, of course, if you're interested, you can come back and kind of do a detailed course and an understanding of it, and we are always available on chat as well as on mail. So when we talk about the purpose, and we've already defined that it's the why question. It is, why do you even want this team? Why do we even want this team to exist in the first place? So the basic question that would come when you're sitting down with a potential team, supposing you're the team leader and you're sitting down. So we are sitting down and asking the team people, hey, why are we even sitting here? What are we even here for? Why do we want to be here? What are we here to do? Before the what also, it's the why. because it should align with me as well as with the shared goals, that vision that we will form. So it's just not about, as Naveen shared earlier, that it's not just about my being there. The collaboration has to be between me and the all the people who are sitting in that circle, in that golden circle. So one of the questions would be, why does this team even have to exist? Why do we even want to form this team? Why are we even here, sitting here and talking about this? And because before this, we know that we have a mission, probably that of the organization or of the system, or of, this team belongs to this larger, ocean of an organization. So we are saying, how does our work in this team, supposing it's a marketing department, or supposing it's a smaller project team, or a scrum team, or an agile team, whatever it is, how does our work contribute to the larger mission, which is your, your organizational purpose, your organizational mission or vision statement? You would read that in all organizations, that this is it. So these are some of the questions. Of course, there are many others when you form your whys. So that's how, when as a team leader, what you could take back is that even if you've done this exercise, you could probably, in one of the meetings that you could have, is just go back to it and say, hey, hi guys, remember why are we even here? What is it that we are here to do? And it could be done in the ways that I have listed out here, or it could be just done in a very fun, exciting way as you would, want to do it. But the basic idea is that, moving on to the goals, when we talk about setting, objectives, and we talk about, okay, what is it that you're going to do? Because it comes to your what. You've answered the why. Now coming to your what, the second W. Okay, so what are our top priorities here? What do we have to maximize in marketing? What are we here to do? What are our top priorities? And because we look at measurability as a big factor, especially if we're talking about organizations, how will you measure your success? Or how will you, in fact, even scale? How will you even look at what is really happening, whether it's success or failure? Basically, what are your measuring metrics? How will you measure success? Which will be a clear indication that, okay, whether your goals are being met or not. So these were two examples here, and the following two in the next slide. Similarly for roles, because we are giving key responsibilities for two people. So I, as a team member, I should be able to answer this very clearly. As one team member, as an individual team member to the others, what is my role in the team? Agreed, there's a shared vision. Agreed, there's a shared purpose. But I am here to do something unique, which I only can do. And that is my uniqueness to the team. And that is what I bring to the table. And how do our roles complement each other? Like, because we form a network of networks, like we form a team, and then there are teams of teams, and then a systemic team. That's what we learn when we talk about systemic coaching. So how do our roles complement each other? Because obviously they can't go anti each other, but they're not even cloning each other. But how are we coexisting and complementing each other? And the final one, as we've been really, talking about, that is that in terms of communication and teamwork, that of course, one is that, how do we ensure seamless communication, in which there'll be number of things that will come down, about not only about teamwork, but under the whole team development umbrella, under which, teamwork, team development, team coaching, team training, a lot of that comes in, because that's a whole umbrella term. And how do we work together more effectively under the same umbrella? So, as we said, this was a teaser basically to understand that, okay, why is team alignment important, and a little framework which helps us to go back to the basics and say, okay, these are some of the places where we can go back almost immediately. Like, you can do this as of tomorrow, that, okay, we can go back and we say, okay, how can we collaborate better? Two things that come to mind is communication and teamwork. Our communication. How do we communicate today? For instance, as a team, maybe you're using email as your top, option. Okay, what in this email can be better? How can it be more precise, or whatever it is? is there any other backup plan that we should have other than email also, so that we don't miss out on messages? And how do we make these emails also in a way that we are not really missing out the gist of it? Whatever, it could be anything regarding that. And actually, and finally, which we call as the gold coaching question, as far as this teams is concerned, I mean, in this context, is if we were talking about alignment, here, as far as this team, then what, according to each one of us, what would alignment look like for us? You could, obviously, people will put it in different ways. And how will we know when you've achieved it? Actually, is the sum total of all what you've already answered. But this is a gold question because you will get more inputs that, okay, what would alignment, because I may have a little picture of alignment in my mind, which I may not have put to the table. When we ask this open-ended question, then some inputs may come in. And how will I know? We ask this in coaching, in individual and executive coaching also, that, okay, somebody talks about a goal and we say, okay, how would you know when you've achieved it? And why is it important? That we've already answered. But how would you know? And how would you then, what steps can you take? What is that one thing which you can now start as of now? So my question to you now is that what is that one thing that you, as people who are working in teams, and or as people who are future leaders or already team leaders, what is that one thing that we can take away from here and be able to use right now, or tomorrow, today, whenever, as per your day, in and with your teams, and for that matter with yourself? Because as much as the team is outside you, you are also a part of the team and a part of the organization. So that would be wonderful to hear or read from here, as to what is it that you're taking away, what insights, and of course, if there are any questions, clarifications, uh, insights, feedback, feed forward, all are welcome.
Yeah, I want to take one non-corporate example here. I want to ask if anyone has seen Ted Lasso. So what was the season 1 alignment was for? Anybody wants to answer it? In season 1, the alignment was simple. They want to remain in the tournament. And the whole goal of the coach was to ensure each of the football team members play their roles properly, so they can remain in the tournament for the next season, right? So that was a simple alignment he brought in, the coach, basically. So think about it, that have you seen any experience like this in any movies, in your own personal experiences? Put a different hat and think about it to what Himani is saying. Over to you, Anjali. Sorry, I don't want to take your time. Over to you. But thanks, everyone. Great session. Thanks, Himani. Good session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, speakers, Himani and Naveen, for that insightful section and making it so interactive for us. We had some really fresh perspectives to take home today. Thank you for your time and effort. What do we have next? Our announcements for today would be the CCCOP session, which will be held by Sonam. This is this will be on the 12th of March, and this will be on the second Wednesday of every month. The next TCCOP session, that will be on the 26th of March at the same time. And this will be held on the 4th Wednesdays of every month. Please note this on your calendars and be there for it. We have the QR code there. Please do scan to get further information. Introducing this 7 AI team coaching competencies. Leaders do join this. Scan the QR code and leave your email if you'd like to receive the PDFs as an early reviewer. We also have in store for those who are ready to elevate their coaching skills Register now for the Certified Professional Team Coach course and get a discount on the same. Scan the QR code or use the link in the chat box. Our LATAM speakers, they're not left out. Join Pablo Senra for a special session on people analytics with Power BI. Scan the code there or use the link in the chat box. Don't miss these opportunities to learn and grow with us. There'll be many more sessions, so please join our APO Global group on LinkedIn, and you'd find many more like-minded people as well there. Registered participants will receive a sessions recording. It will also be available on our APO YouTube channel. Thank you, participants, for making this event a success. Please stay back for the feedback poll before you all leave. It's essential to us. Stay motivated for more learning webinars, and don't forget to join the community portal. Thank you all. Anjali signing off for today.